Okay, let's have a look at some advanced tips for IronCAD. Tip 1. Okay, so we want to select the face on that part there. It's kind of covered by this blue part. I know we can just switch them off in the scene browser, but say you've got a complicated assembly, you kind of sick of turning things on and off. There's another way to select that face behind that part. So you do it by pressing Ctrl and Alt on your keyboard, and then pressing the left mouse button, and it will bring up the option to select that face. It brings up this dialog box here, and you can kind of scroll through and pick the one that you want. And that's the one I want there, and there we go. Tip 2. So we've created a 3D curve outside of a structured part, kind of because you forgot to activate it first. I'm forever doing that. Oh damn, that's really annoying. I wanted that curve inside the structured part so I could operate on it. So let's look how you get that into there. So let's select the structured part, right click and set as active. So that opens it up, so anything new will be in this tree structure here. And let's create a new 3D curve. Just a simple line will do, and we can create it anywhere like that. And what you do is you right click on that curve now and go replace, and then you select that curve that was outside of the part, and you apply and exit, and there it's done. It's actually part of that part now. Tip 3. 2 parts in the scene, and obviously one's green and one's kind of a yellowy colour, so we can use the eyedropper to change the colour of that second part if we want to. That's simple enough, but you can actually drop the material properties of the green part onto the yellow part using that eyedropper. So let's have a look at how you do that. So we've got up and select the fill eyedropper tool there. Changes the icon, so let's suck up the properties there, and you move over to the yellow part, and instead of left clicking you right click here, and it gives you a nice little menu there. So you can just go for surfaces, parts or groups here, but you also go for the material of the part. Let's select that one. So it also changes the colour obviously. So looking at the original part there, we'd set stainless steel and that density, and we select that part now and it's the same. Tip 4. I'd like to create a wireframe model for the edges of this part. I could go around each edge and right click and extract the 3D curve if I wanted, but there's actually a quicker way. What we do is we use the selection filter up at the top here, and you go faces by auto feature. So select that, and let's select this face here, and it kind of selects all the faces of each of the features of this part, so even the ones on the inner face of these holes here. And then you right click, you go create and extract 3D curve, and it creates a 3D curve of all the edges in one go. So this appeared as a separate part in my tree, so let's just drag it back under my assembly there. We right click and edit, and remember you can change the colour of the wireframe as well, so let's do that and change it to red and apply that. There we go, and we hide the originating part. There we go, so we kind of got a wireframe representation of that part now. Tip 5. Okay, so we've got a few 2D profiles under an assembly here, and I'd quite like to be able to fill in the description field, but it's greyed out. So how do you ungrey it so we can see what things are in here? Well, if you right click on the profile, go down to 2D shape properties and select that, and on the general tab we can choose to include it in the BOM, and then checking that checkbox ungraze these, as you can see, so we can fill in description. There we go. There we are. And then if we select that again, having finished that, you can see it's appeared there. Tip 6. When we're in a 2D cross section, I want to create a fillet here to a specific radius. So we can use the fillet tool and click and drag with our left mouse button there, but kind of just creates a random radius there. It's not great really. Let's undo that. Let's try that again. Choose the fillet tool, but instead of left clicking, let's right click and drag it over here. And then letting go, it gives you the option to enter radius. So let's put in 25mm there. Okay, and there we go. It's a specific radius there. Tip 7. Functionality when we're importing parts. Quite often you get a dumb part and you'd like to increase its intelligence by including some IntelliShapes into the part. So let's pick up this parasolid part here. We've got step 7 XT there, so open that and it brings in this assembly here. So let's drag that under my step 7 assembly. So let's look at this part first. So as you can see, it's just a dumb solid there with a B-rep, boundary representation part there, but we can see a hole in the center. So let's look at what we can do here. So if we use the face filter here and we select the face of this through hole there, and with your mouse hovering over the actual face itself, right click and go faces to IntelliShape, and there we go. We've actually got an extrude shape, so we can right click and edit the cross section now. So that's a circle. That's good. And not only that, but we can turn on the tribal, move it around. So that's good for a single hole. What about a pattern of circular holes like this? So once again, we've just got a dumb part. Let's do the same procedures as we just did. So let's select the face and oh, there we go. Select it in there and right click and faces to IntelliShape, and it's done a little bit more this time. It's recognized the fact that they're on a circular pattern, so it's actually created a pattern for us, which is great. There we go. So we can expand that. We can edit the cross section of that part if we want, make it a little bit bigger. Finish that, and they all change. We can go in and edit the number. Let's change that to 10. There we go. No, it hasn't made them equal, which I suppose we ought to change the angle as well, really. 36, that's why. There we go. There we go, that's equal. Equally spaced. And one last part here. We've kind of got a milled pocket in this solid. There we go. So it'd be quite nice to make that an IntelliShape that we can move around and change it. So how do we do that? A little bit more complicated. Let's use one of the tools that we learned in the previous tip and use this faces by auto feature. Yeah. And let's select that face, and then it just selects the feature in there, that middle pocket. So we right click, again faces to IntelliShape, and there we have it. We've got the pocket shape there which can be moved around and edited. Tip 8. How many times have you tried to extrude or sweep a profile and there's problems? So you go into your profile and you can't see what the problem is. So let's have a look at IronCAD's tools for dealing with that. There are a couple of tools. The first one is the clear duplicate tool on the modify part of the ribbon, on the sketch ribbon here. And so how do we use that? Well, what we do is we select all the elements in the profile and press that button, and it brings up a dialog box telling us what's going to be deleted, and it's going to delete one line, and it's showing us there that you can actually see there's a line on top of another line there. And we can also tell because we've got the white connected endpoints there rather than the red unconnected ones. So let's OK that, and it deletes that extra line. There is another way. If we right click on the back of the cross section there, we get the cross section properties. Let's open that up, just move that dialog out of the way, and if we click the outlines tab and drop this combo box down here, it actually shows us a list of all the outlines on the cross section. So the rectangle, for example, is counted as one outline, and this polygon as well, but then this singular line on its own is another outline. Outlines 1 and 2 are always the axis, so outline 1 is the x-axis, y is 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that we can see elements here. So we've got the 1 and 2 for the axis, so that leaves one extra. So we've got 7, and we can only see 6, so where's that extra one? So let's go for number 3, well that's a line there, that looks okay. Number 4, again it's telling us it's a line. 5 is a line again. 6, oh now it's telling us it's a circle. That's the position of it, so it's minus 28, minus 28, so that's most likely that one there. That's the radius there. Let's go for number 7. Well, that's 4 lines, so that's obviously the rectangle there. Number 8, that's a lot of lines, so that's most likely that polygon there. And then number 9, there's another circle there. What is that? That is a strange entity there. What's going on there? Well, if we scroll across and change this last number here to a 1, number 2 is construction geometry, change that to 1, and OK that, you can actually see that the line, sorry, the circle was behind this polygon, and it was used as the constructor when we made that polygon. And it was actually hiding there because it was actually construction, and we couldn't quite see it because of these extra construction lines. So that's a couple of tools for finding problems. Tip 9. Got a part here with a lot of features on it. It's a pattern of holes, and sometimes they can take a long time to regenerate. So if we just drop a whole block onto the edge here, onto this face, resize it. There we go. Well, it's not too bad because haven't got too many features here, but sometimes it can take a long time. So there's a little there's a setting in the options. So we go to Tools, Options, and go to Parts, and this one here is the one you're interested in. When editing parts, the default is to regenerate the part automatically, but if you swap that over, change the radio button here to wait to regenerate until the part is deselected. So let's apply that, and OK that. And what that means is we can position our whole block here. So let's right click on that bubble here and go to the center point. Do that here, so we can reposition this whole block, and it's not actually changing the part, you see, so we don't have to wait for it to regenerate. So I'm kind of happy with that now. It's on all the centers of those holes there, and then only when you select away does it regenerate, and there we go. So it can just be a bit easier and save that sort of time, that processing time. That can be a bit tedious when you're trying to get a design out. It just makes things a little bit easier. And tip 10. Okay, got a part here with a pattern of whole blocks positioned on it, and I'd like to pattern the radius in the corner of one of these milled pockets here. Obviously I don't want to pick all the edges there, it'll take ages, so let's grab the blend there, use the pattern feature tool there, click a direction, the second direction, there we go. Oh, I've done those the wrong way around, yep. Okay, let's just swap those over, 60, there we go. Oh, change the number as well, there we go. So there we are, we've got the each of the fillets positioned on the corners of each of the pattern of blocks there. So we click OK. Oh no, it's not happy. So it doesn't know what to apply it onto, you see. So how do we do that? Well, let's cancel out of this. What you do is you need to apply the blend into the original pattern. So if we're looking at our tree here under this part, we've got a bilinear pattern there of the block. So it's, at the moment the bilinear is just the pattern's just using the block, but let's add in the blend to it as well. So we right click, edit feature options, and then make sure we've got the features selected here. That's the ones that's expecting. And then we go over and you can choose the blend from either on the actual scene or from the scene browser. So let's do the scene browser, select that blend, so there it's added it, there we go, and click apply, and there it's done it. Hopefully you've enjoyed my video. If you liked it, please don't forget to share it or add some comments. Thanks for watching.